Hey everyone, welcome back to Gastromania. Today's dish was requested by my supervisor from Cambridge. Shout out to you for being awesome over the last year. If anyone has recipes you would like to be demonstrated, let me know in the comments below. This dish is very commonly made in Asian American restaurants and it's able to feed the palates of most people around the world. Let's get right into this recipe. First, we'll be using about 600 grams of chicken breast. It's okay to use chicken breast for this dish as the cooking time is quite short. For the vegetables, we have 7 baby corns, about 50 grams of carrot, 3 stalks of celery, and obviously, cashew chicken has raw cashew nuts. Lastly, 2 bunches of spring onions for garnishing purposes. For aromatics, we have 1 onion and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Let's season the chicken lightly before preparing other vegetables. First, cut up the chicken into bite-sized pieces. Try to cut the chicken breast at an angle facing your knife outwards. When cutting up the chicken breast, remember to remove all the tendons as they are pretty hard to chew and it will interrupt your food experience later on. It is not particularly difficult, but it kinda adds on to the time taken. Once all the chicken has been cut, add the light seasoning. We will need about 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce for umami flavors, 1 tablespoon Chinese cooking wine for removing gamey smells, half a tablespoon of sesame oil, and 1 tablespoon of boiled water. A generous dash of white pepper, 2 tablespoons of corn flour to improve the texture, mix up the seasonings evenly. Use your hands and push the meat in one direction. The meat is ready when you no longer see any liquid at the bottom of the mixing bowl. Set it aside for about 30 minutes and prepare your vegetables in the meantime. Chop up the baby corns into 1 to 2 cm slices, slicing them at an angle. Damn, this new knife is so sharp and solid. After cutting the baby corn, set them aside and start cutting the carrots. You can showcase your creativity with the carrot. You can cut them into any shape as long as it's not too thick for cooking later on. Can you guess the shape that I'm cutting? Comment below and see if you can guess the shape. Yes, it's a flower. Do take note that this is completely optional and it's purely for aesthetics. Next, the celery. Cut off the base of the celery as it's quite thick and fibrous, making it really difficult to chew. You also want to remove any parts that are browned on the stalk so that your celery doesn't look so unappetizing, even though celery is kinda unappetizing. Cut the celery at an angle to make it look slightly longer and look better. Another thing to take note is that you should peel the outer skin off as it is fibrous and thick as well. Once done, set it aside and proceed onto the spring onions. Remove the whites as we are not using them for garnish, keep them for other dishes. Finally chop the spring onions into fine bits and set it aside for later use. Lastly, chop up the onions into quarters. Cut it into halves, then cut the halves into 4 quarters. Set aside for later use. Moving on to the sauce. The sauce is really simple. 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 0.5 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and about 1 tablespoon of boiled water. Mix the seasoning well and set it aside for later use. Let's get cooking. First, heat up some vegetable oil. Add in the raw cashew nuts and remember to dry off the water from washing. Fry the cashew nuts at low heat and remove once they have turned brown. Lay them on kitchen towels to soak up the excess oil. Heat up some oil again and add in the onions and celery. Fry them at high heat until the onions brown slightly. This process is for removing the rawness of the celery that people hate. As a celery hater myself, I find celery to be acceptable after doing this process. Remove the onions and celery and then add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Fry the garlic until it's brown at medium heat. Add the carrots in, followed by the marinated chicken. Use the spatula and spread out the chicken quickly. It's fine if the flour bits and chicken stick on the base. We will add water to deglaze it and let the chicken cook in the water. You could also choose to pre-fry your chicken to prevent the cornstarch from dropping off during the cooking process. This step is commonly done in the restaurants, but I think it's unnecessary as it makes my dish unnecessarily oily. After water has been added, add the baby corns and the pre-fried vegetables. Give it a good stir, then add in the sauce prepared earlier. If you seriously hate celery, then you could substitute it for snow peas. You could also add butter mushrooms if you like them. Prepare some cornstarch mixture near the end to thicken the sauce. Prepare it by adding a little bit of cornstarch and mixing it with warm water. Then, add in the toasted cashews and give it a good mix. Lastly, add the spring onions, turn off the fire and give it a good mix. Cashew chicken is ready to be served. This dish is quite straightforward and easy to prepare. It's also quite beginner friendly. Try it today and let me know how it goes.